He chose the worst possible moment to destroy his own life, under crystal chandeliers, beneath a canopy of white roses, in front of family, friends, and the woman who had loved him through every empty-pocketed year. And he did it with a smile. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet strength of those who suffer in silence, take a moment right now to like this video, share it, comment where you're watching from, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us that what is hidden in the dark will always meet the light. The ballroom shimmered with gold and ivory, a perfect setting for what was meant to be a joyful family celebration. It was her younger sister's wedding day, and the air smelled of lilies and expensive perfume. She sat at a front table in a deep burgundy dress, fingers wrapped around a glass of water she hadn't touched. She had spent the morning helping the bride into her gown, adjusting her veil, whispering reassurance through tears of nervous excitement. No one knew that just weeks earlier her own world had shifted in a way she still barely understood. Her phone had buzzed late one night with a call from a private attorney. An estranged grandfather she had never met, a reclusive billionaire investor, had passed away and left her his entire estate. $20 billion. The number had sounded fictional, like something from a movie. She had grown up middle class, worked 2 jobs through college, supported her husband while he chased business ideas that rarely survived past the planning stage. She had planned to tell him. She had imagined surprising him gently, maybe helping him revive his failing company, paying off the mortgage, taking the weight off his shoulders. But she wanted to wait until everything was finalized. She wanted certainty before hope. She had no idea he was already planning something else. When he stood from his chair during the reception, tapping his fork against his glass, she smiled automatically. That was what supportive wives did. He looked confident in his tailored black suit, sharper than she had seen him in years. His arm was wrapped around a woman in a shimmering gold dress, a business associate, he had said weeks ago when the late meeting started. The room quieted. He began with flattery about love and destiny. He praised the bride and groom. Then his tone shifted, and his hand tightened around the other woman's fingers. He announced that life was too short to live without passion, that sometimes hearts grow apart, that he had found someone who truly understood him. Gasps rippled through the room like a wave, and then he said it plainly. He was in love, and he and this woman were engaged. Her sister stood frozen at the altar stage behind them, bouquet trembling. Their mother covered her mouth. Cameras flashed, but not for the bride. And she, the wife, felt her heartbeat slow in a strange, almost peaceful way. The humiliation should have shattered her. Instead, it felt like clarity. She thought of the night she stayed up balancing bills, while he insisted his next venture would change everything. She remembered pawning her jewelry quietly when cash ran thin. She remembered the growing distance in his eyes, the dismissive tone when she asked simple questions. And she realized something devastating. He had already left her long before tonight. He kept talking, oblivious to the silent storm in her chest. He spoke about courage, about following one's truth. He never once looked at her. What he didn't know was that the woman he had just publicly discarded was no longer dependent on him. The papers had been signed that very morning. The inheritance was real. The accounts were transferred. The wealth was hers. But this was not about money. She stood slowly, smoothing her dress, every movement deliberate. The room turned toward her as if pulled by gravity. She did not scream. She did not cry. Instead, she walked to the center of the room, her heels clicking softly against marble floors. Her voice, when she spoke, was steady and almost gentle. She congratulated her sister and wished her a marriage built on honesty. She thanked her husband for finally telling the truth in public, saving her from months more of quiet suspicion. She said she hoped he would find whatever he believed he was missing. Then she removed her wedding ring and placed it on the table beside his untouched champagne glass. The silence was louder than any argument could have been. She left the ballroom alone, head high, spine straight, tears finally falling only when the doors closed behind her. Outside, the cool evening air wrapped around her like comfort. A black car waited at the curb, not because she was wealthy now, but because she had learned to prepare for herself. The weeks that followed were brutal and transformative. Headlines spread online after guests leaked footage. Sympathy poured in from unexpected places. He tried to contact her when rumors of her inheritance surfaced, his tone suddenly apologetic, nostalgic, regretful. He claimed confusion, weakness, pressure. He said he had made a mistake, but she had learned something more valuable than billions. Her worth had never been tied to his recognition. Instead of retreating into luxury, she invested in what had once felt impossible. She funded scholarships for young women studying business and finance. She reopened community centers in neighborhoods like the one she grew up in. She built programs to teach financial literacy to families struggling the way she once had. She poured her pain into purpose. Meanwhile, his flashy engagement unraveled quickly. The mistress who had admired his ambition disappeared when she realized the empire she expected did not exist. His failing company collapsed under debt he could no longer hide. The man who had chased appearances found himself alone with the consequences. One afternoon, months later, she visited her sister's new home. The wedding photos had been retouched, his announcement edited out of memory. They sat together in the kitchen, sunlight warming the room, laughter finally returning without tension. Her sister apologized for that day, but she only smiled. Some storms, she said, are necessary to clear the sky. And perhaps that was the real inheritance. Not the money, but the awakening. Before we reach the end, I want to ask you something personal. Have you ever been underestimated, betrayed, or overlooked, only to discover a strength you didn't know you had? If this story is touching your heart, please like, share, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. And write the word resilient below if you believe no one should ever be defined by someone else's rejection. In time, she understood that his betrayal had not broken her. It had revealed her. The girl who once counted coins to buy groceries was now shaping futures. The wife who had been publicly humiliated had become privately unstoppable. She had learned that true wealth is not what you inherit. It is what you become when everything you thought you needed falls away, and somewhere in the quiet of her new life she found something deeper than revenge or triumph. She found peace. Because sometimes the greatest blessing is not the fortune you receive, but the truth that sets you free.